Hello, my name is Katie Shiloh, and I'm going to be discussing prompts and their hierarchy in this video. I hope you will all learn something. First of all, what is a prompt? A prompt is a stimulus that cues the learner to engage in a target skill. These cues that are presented to the learner are bridges that help the learner to identify the stimulus and then engage in the correct response. According to Senger et al. 2018, prompts are useful in transferring stimulus control to the natural stimulus. There are 6 levels of prompts on the prompt hierarchy. The 6 levels of prompts are sequenced from the least amount of help to the most amount of help. These are as follows: independent, visual, verbal, gestural, modeling, partial physical, and full physical. The independent at the very top requires no prompting, so this would be right here. If the learner cannot complete the task independently, we would then move on to the least intrusive prompt. According to the hierarchy, the least intrusive prompt would be the visual prompting, and the most intrusive prompt would be the full physical prompting. When you use the prompt hierarchy, you can either go from least to most or most to least, depending on the client. Most to least has shown to produce less mistakes and faster acquisition of the target skill, according to Libby 2018. So now I will be explaining each prompt and their spot in the hierarchy. I will be going in order from least to most. First, we have independent. This step we give no prompts. We want to see if the learner can complete the task with the natural stimulus. So for example, if the child has just finished eating and their hands are sticky, they should get a napkin to wipe their hands. So the stimulus would be sticky hands. We move then to the next prompt on the hierarchy, visual. Visual prompting may look like a picture on the table or a wall that shows someone eating and then wiping their hands. This can prompt the learner to clean their hands after eating. If they still do not complete the task of wiping their hands, we can move to the next prompt on the hierarchy, verbal prompting. In this prompt, we can give a clue or ask a question to prompt the learner to wipe their hands after eating. This can look like, "Hey, Link, it looks like your hands are sticky. What can you do?" So that would be verbal prompting. We can tell the child that it looks like their hands are sticky. What should they do? With this prompt, the learner may get a napkin, and if they do, the prompt worked. If they do not, then we move to the next prompt, gestural. In the gestural prompting hierarchy, we can nod towards the napkins, like, "Oh, there they are," or paper towels, point at the learner's sticky hands, and then the napkins to hint that they may want to use a napkin to clean their hands. And we can also say, like, "Hey, what do you need to clean your hands?" while we're pointing at the napkins, and hopefully they pick up that prompt and then they'll grab a napkin. Sometimes this doesn't work and sometimes it does, but if it doesn't work, that's okay. We can just move to the next one. Modeling, to the next one, which is modeling. We can model how to get a napkin and wipe our hands. We can also talk to the learner and explain that when our hands are sticky after we eat, we want to get a napkin to wipe them off. So if I'm looking at this child and I see their hands are sticky, I can say, "Oh, my hands are sticky. I just ate lunch. Let me get a napkin." I get a napkin and I start wiping my hands, hoping that he sees me doing it. I'm modeling the behavior for him, and he'll grab a napkin and wipe his hands. If this one does not work, we will then move to the next one, which would be partial physical. So partial physical is kind of what it sounds like. You're not fully helping the child do it or fully physically helping them do it. It would be like a slight touch to the elbow or their wrist to move towards the napkin while saying, "Oh, let's get a napkin. Our hands are sticky." Then if this works, then great. Then we can continue. But if this does not work, then we should go to the last prompt on the hierarchy, which is full physical. So full physical is the most intrusive prompt and is meant to give no room for error. The learner will complete the task at hand with full physical, with our help. So full physical would be hand over hand. The practitioner would put their hands over the learner's hands and say, "Oh, our hands are sticky. Let's get a napkin," and guide them to get a napkin while my hand is on the child's hand. Help them grab a napkin and then help them wipe their hands. And after they complete the task at hand with the prompts, we can give them a reinforcement. "Oh, great. I like how you wiped your hands. Your hands were sticky. I like how you got a napkin." And then eventually we can fade out the prompts. But to start, we want to give the most prompts that will help them learn the behavior. So everything between independent and full physical is meant to give a little more information than the last tier. So independent has no prompts. And then we would go to visual, which is just a little more verbal, and then gestural, and then modeling, which we can see here in the hierarchy. So independent, very little prompts. And then visual, a little more. Verbal, a little more. Gestural, a little more. Modeling, a little more. Partial, a little more. And then full physical, which is all of it, so which would give them no room for error, and they have to complete the prompt. I mean, they have to complete the task at hand with that prompt, which we're helping them do. So the tier is used to build on top of one before give the information needed to complete the task until the most amount of information / assistance is provided. We also want to make sure when we give the learner time between each we also want to make sure that we give the learner time between each of the prompts to have a chance to complete the task. So I would say 5 to 10 seconds is a good window. If they don't start the task in that window, we should automatically present the next prompt on the hierarchy. We can either go from most to least on the hierarchy. This is starting at full physical and ends at independent, and this gives no room for error while learning. Or we can go from least to most on the hierarchy, which starts at independent and ends with full physical. And this gives the learner a chance to try to complete the task before being prompted. According to McDonald, 1989, most to least prompting increases the overall effectiveness of the instruction because it minimizes the errors and helps the learner acquire the skills faster. Either way works, and they are both effective in teaching a learner a skill that can be done independently. I hope this video helped you understand the different kinds of prompts and their place in their hierarchy. Thank you.